Well, hello and welcome back to the very latest episode of my Love Machine podcast. Now, today I have got a great guest and a wonderful topic. We are calling this one Unleash Your Inner Goddess. Now, of course, this is not a topic I can really explain to you in great detail, but I've got a wonderful guest, the excellent Cara Lorenzini. Now, Cara is a singer-songwriter. She is a Reiki master and a certified astrologer. She runs goddess moon circles, working with the energy of each full and new moon for women to heal, release, and manifest their desires. And for those that don't know what that means, Cara will explain that to you, and it absolutely fascinates me. So, Cara, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good. Did I pronounce your surname correctly?
You did, yes.
Good. That's always good to get that right at the start of a podcast, isn't it?
See, that in itself is an interesting story. So basically, that's a family name, the Lorenzini, but the name was changed. So my real name isn't Lorenzini, but if you are into numerology, I don't know whether you are into numerology.
I'll pretend I am. You can...
Well, when you look at Cara Lorenzini in numerology, well, if you're looking at numerology, the Cara Lorenzini has more of a spiritual path versus my real name.
I want to ask the real name, but that's obviously going to be private.
Yeah, no, that's my real name's Cara Breyer. So I used to go into that.
I knew that. That's in the emails that you sent me. That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's
so this is like your stage name then?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's good. Many people have that. You want to be famous enough so everyone just calls you Cara, like Adele. That's what you need to have.
I mean, it's not the most exciting name, but
it's cool. It sounds very glamorous and very, very spiritual, I think. Cara Lorenzini. I love that. Excellent. Okay, so tell me about yourself.
So I am all of the above that you just mentioned. So I am a Reiki healer, a crystal healer. I do different sort of therapies as well. So I'll do like a crystal therapy, which is like verbal communication, and then Reiki is obviously in silence. So the client will lie down, or I can do it virtually over Zoom. I'm also a tarot reader, certified astrologer. And honestly, I have the most randomest different bits and bobs under my belt. I recently sold my salon at the end of COVID. So I was a beautician and nail technician as well.
I thought you were going to say you sold your soul. I thought you were going to say.
No.
That'd be really interesting podcast.
No.
So you've gone full steam ahead for all this now.
Yes.
From that. Excellent. And things are going well, aren't they? I can tell by your followers.
Yeah, really well. It's something that I feel COVID has allowed people to be more open-minded to. Before, when I owned the salon, I was able to offer like Reiki and certain services, but other services were still a bit scary and woo-woo. But no, now I'm allowed to come out full force, and it's amazing. And I help other women to do the same.
You help them unleash their inner goddess, don't you?
Yes. So
I'll get that back in the title. I like to stay on track for these. I can talk to you for a long, long time about anything, as we already have done. But for the purpose of this podcast, so what kind of people you work with? Women, but yes. What kind of women come to you?
So it's usually women who are trying to find their life purpose and path. They might be lost in terms of their relationships or their career. So they tend to be really strong themes. So they're either trying to find some kind of freedom within their work life, their career, and trying to manifest more abundance, say, or release self-limiting beliefs around why they're not earning what they would like to, or why they're not achieving and doing what they would like to. And then obviously the same with the relationship. So they feel trapped in a relationship, or they just keep attracting similar partners. So we do a lot of shadow work where we look deep into I guess the subconscious and what it keeps reminding us and telling us, and the patterns that we keep repeating within our own selves that make us not feel the inner goddess.
There's a lot of things that can happen in our past that can mess us up, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. And I think a lot of us create that as a narrative for the rest of our lives. But it's literally our choice. So the only person stopping you from doing what you want to do, or you from being you, is you. And you're always just one decision away from a total different reality.
That's true. If you heard the last podcast I just did, that was about different realities and different dimensions and things like that. So I completely believe all this. I think absolutely. But for the purpose of this, I think that's absolutely incredible. Now, if you want to change the way things are,
Yeah.
you do have to change your choices,
Yeah.
and you have to start setting boundaries for yourself, don't you?
Yes, you do. I think you have to change a lot within as well in terms of your personal self-love and self-respect. And it's not always easy because you do start to see relationships fade, or people will say you're changing, but change doesn't mean that change is for the worst.
No, it's often for the best, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And whoever is meant to be there for you will support and love and encourage your journey no matter what. Whereas if they've just been trying to keep you, I don't know, in a box, then you're never going to develop. So you're going to feel stagnant and you're going to lose kind of your self-worth and also just lose your purpose. The whole purpose is for us to change and develop.
It is. And you can't expect someone else to change either. You can't change them.
Absolutely not.
I see that a lot in relationships. People make bad choices and they'll expect someone will change over time, but they rarely do, which is, I always say, it's delaying your happiness in that case.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing we do with the goddess circles, is look into the parts or the people that we are trying to control, because control is such a huge thing that we try to do. We try to control our path, our life, other people, circumstances that are out of our control, and it causes a lot of anxieties because you're not able to. You can't make people change and you can't control other people, but what you can do is control yourself, control how you deal with the situation moving forward. But yeah, you definitely can't control other people.
You can't, but you're right. You only have control over yourself. You have to make those choices. If you want to get fit, you have to go to the gym and take yourself there. If you want to meet a partner, you have to go out there and put yourself in the situation to do that. You can't expect someone to come and knock on your door magically and say, "Here I am. How you doing?" That sort of thing. It's not going to happen. So it's all about doing something yourself. And that's, as coaches, we teach people that a lot, don't we?
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think a lot of it as well is to find that balance between the feminine and masculine energy of some people are too far in the masculine of work, 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 do, and just it just results in burnout a lot of the time. But then the feminine energy, people who are too much in their feminine, do what you just said and just expect too much to come to them without actually doing anything about it. So you're trying to manifest a partner, but you don't leave the house and you're not on any dating sites and you don't really see anyone. So you're not really going to be able to put yourself out there unless you kind of get a balance between the both.
That's absolutely true. The funny thing is, I still occasionally buy a lottery ticket and I get very disappointed when I don't win.
Yeah.
I think I expect to win that lottery. What's going on? Why haven't I won it? Where's my email? Where's my message telling me to go and check my account? Very disappointed. Whether that's self-belief or just self-delusion, I don't know.
It's funny though that you've said that, because a lot of my clients they'll say, I'm trying to manifest this partner, or I'm trying to manifest, I've been trying for ages and it's just not happening for me. And I think a lot of it, and I know everyone always says with the law of attraction and everything that it's timing, but when you start studying astrology and you look into the astrological occurrences and the transits, you can really see that it really is timing. So one thing I'm going to be doing soon is like a membership where I will meet virtually with people monthly and do an astrology reading and teach them how to look at their chart so that they are able to look at the timing of when will be good for, say, finances or for attracting a partner and so on. But I think it's like trying to make people realize that you can manifest to a certain extent of what's in alignment for you, and you can expect that you're going to win the lottery all day long. But if you are not destined in this lifetime to win £1 million on the lottery, then you have a service elsewhere.
But it has made me realise alongside this that I need to do more to work on myself so I can start living that millionaire lifestyle and get that.
Yeah.
Because I believe I'm destined for that.
Yeah.
So you have to be. Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
And therefore I want to work towards that. It's maybe think about that in other ways. Mm-hmm. But how do new moons tie into this?
Okay, so we have a full moon and we have the new moon. In between you have a waxing and waning moon. I'm presuming that you don't really know a whole lot about the moon cycle, but basically with the new moon, you tend to release and let go of things from the past. But the main intention of the new moon is new beginnings, new opportunities, and you manifest. And depending on where the new moon is, so in which sign, so the zodiac sign, it will hold a different energy. And then after this, you've got what's called a waxing moon, which leads us into the full moon. this happens every single month, all of this whole cycle. So it basically, if you think of it as the moon is growing or swelling, it's also swelling or growing your intention. So the waxing moon is also really strong for manifestation. Then you get to the full moon. So with the full moon, I think it's very popular because you can see it in the sky. So a lot of people tend to charge their crystals under the new moon. And because you can see the full moon as well, there is that element of, it's meant to send people loopy, and it's, it has a huge impact on us, especially
Werewolves.
yeah. Well, the full moon also embodies that sort of goddess emotional kind of energy, but it's the same as the new moon in terms of it will be in a different sign to hold a different energy. But with the full moon, it's the last moment to manifest, but then you really start to release, and you work with the waning moon then to release self-limiting beliefs or behaviors and patterns within yourself that you're not really happy with, that you're trying to, I don't know, let go of. Or you can work with your ego. So the ego is always frowned upon, but it's not always a bad thing. Like, there are parts of us that we can acknowledge and accept. And when we surrender to her or that part of ourselves, she doesn't show up so toxic and intense. So if, for instance, you suffer with jealousy, when you actually allow the emotion instead of trying to either force it too much to where you want to control everyone because of the jealousy, or you try to repress the jealousy too much, when you actually allow yourself to just feel the emotion, write down whatever it is to yourself rather than send that text message, then you start to see that, like, it's okay. She's okay, but she's there, but she just has to have a say and just like let her go to the distance. And it really doesn't have that much of a hold on you as much as it once did. But as long as we try to force and control that part of ourselves, then it just gets worse and worse and worse. So when you work with the moon, you tend to work with a cycle of manifestation, healing, and release.
I love that. You mentioned crystals just now as well.
Yeah.
Now, I'm open-minded to most things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure about crystals.
Okay.
So I'm not saying to convince me, isn't the purpose of the podcast, but what crystals do you recommend? What do you work with most, and what are the purposes? The reason I say this, I used to have crystals a few years ago, 20 years ago maybe, like bracelets. They're very trendy at one point, but I didn't feel they really did very much, and I'm just curious about them. So talk to me about crystals.
So with crystals, I think what a lot of people don't realize is, with your phone, if you don't charge it, if you don't clean it, as in like get rid of your folders or whatever it is and cleanse your phone, I guess, then it doesn't work. It's blocked and it doesn't work. And it's the same with crystals. So you can actually cleanse your crystals and you can charge your crystals. Now, some people like to think of crystals just as a, I don't know, placebo effect. But for whatever reason, they are natural rocks that are from the earth. So they do hold and contain energy. Yeah. And with the intention that you set on the crystal, depending on what the crystal is, that can help with healing or manifestation or release. And even if it's just there and you're not, say if you're not convinced that this crystal is going to attract love to you, if you kept that crystal on you, even if your subconscious didn't believe that, just looking at that crystal every single day would remind you of your intention. So I always say to people, whether you believe in them or not, it has a significant purpose, and especially for manifestation.
That's a great answer, and that's a good answer. So I'll accept that.
I didn't answer what my favorites are.
No, you mentioned talk about maybe what about ones for finding love. That's a good one. Then talk about your favorites. Yeah.
Well, I think the most common one is rose quartz.
So I knew that. I was going to say. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Right.
So everyone will say rose quartz. However, I think rose quartz is more for self-love and working on yourself. And I do always encourage with my clients, both female and male, and it doesn't matter on gender, honestly, the gua sha tool. And it's kind of like it's a flat crystal plate, and you can massage your body with it, and you can do lymphatic drainage. I have seen this work for acne, and it really does have physical benefits, and you can see how it starts to lift your face. I've had clients who've got like nodules or lymphatic buildup in their neck, and it just drains them. So that's another tool that I recommend for people who are a bit skeptical, because it's physically working for you. And then you're GUASHA.
Okay.
But that's fantastic. And I also recommend that for athletes as well. So any like clients that I've had that have got like a lot of knots or something in their shoulders, you can do like a little bit of a self massage. But the rose quartz is really good for self-love. And I do recommend you add that to, say, a morning ritual or something. You can actually put it in the fridge and it's nice and cool on your face as well. But you're just allowing the self-loving energy to be part of your morning ritual, say. But in terms of if you're trying to find like a real good passionate connection, say, I would recommend like the deeper reds, so carnelian, red jasper, and they're also a really good crystal for healing from previous relationships and from abuse as well. And then you've got green crystals, so aventurine, say, and they are good for the heart chakra, so also good for healing grief and matters of the heart. But I would stick to pink, green, or red crystals, and I would always go for what you're drawn to rather than what someone tells you to. So I could tell you to get rose quartz, you get rose quartz, it doesn't really do anything for you, but you could go to a crystal shop and you just think, wow, that malachite just stands out to me and it's a green crystal. So I would say always go for whatever you are drawn to, because the chances are that is either a part of yourself that you are avoiding and you're trying not to heal, or it's something that you need right now. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think I need some rose quartz. That was in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying to encourage some self-love.
Yeah, well, I've got self-love, but I need to work on it more. That's what I need to do and enhance that. And the fact that I was asking you the question and the rose quartz sprang into my mind when I was asking you that tells me everything I need to know. So
definitely.
Maybe, I think when I had the bracelets, one of them might have been rose quartz, and one was definitely green. I think it was jade. I'm not sure what it was, but I probably still got them somewhere.
Yeah.
In my old family home, somewhere in a box. I don't know where it might be. So I'm going to go and source them out, and I'll charge them up on the full moon. How long do you leave them for overnight?
Yeah, you can just leave them at your window shelf. It doesn't really matter if they see the moon or not, but it's amazing if they can, get the full moonbeam. I mean, I like to physically bathe under the light of the moon, but that's another thing. You can put them in your window.
I visualize naked women doing that in the film.
Do you know what? I think like women under a full moon is actually really powerful, and you can actually feel so much energy from a full moon. And I think that's why so many people are so drawn to working with the full moon. Yeah. But yeah, I think if you can get yourself a rose quartz gua sha tool even, then it's a really nice little element. You just charge it under the full moon. You can do it for 3 days. But you could just do it overnight if you know that there's a full moon, or if ever you see a full moon.
Well, I know definitely lots of my listeners and my clients need to work more on self-love in general.
Yeah.
Because that is the foundation to anything. You've got to have self-love and self-care. Any advice on that? Because, of course, if you do want to unleash your inner goddess, you mentioned this at the start, you have got to work on this a lot, haven't you?
You have. And I think for anybody who wants courage to move in any area of their life, it all stems down to not even, I mean, the self-love has become woo-woo, but your self-respect as well. So how do you want to be treated? And you need to be really firm on that boundary, and you need to be able to express that boundary and say, moving forward, I'm not accepting that behavior, and stick to it. And it's very painful and it's not very comfortable at all. But if that means that you are no longer, I don't know, being yelled at by your partner, and if you find that you slowly drift apart or so, and you move forward, you now know how you want to be treated. And so you're going to attract more of that into your life. Whereas when we are people pleasing, which is a lot of the time what happens, we allow people to just overstep boundaries, or we have no boundaries, and we don't really look after ourselves very well because we're treating ourselves badly. We're allowing other people to treat ourselves badly. We then start thinking, is this me? Am I the problem? And it just stems from there. I think you just start to pick on yourself, and it's kind of like a really a dangerous trap door, and it just spirals.
I think something that can really help with that is forgiveness. And
Yeah.
I always teach my clients that you've got to learn to forgive, and just not to forget, just to forgive people for bad behaviour. And
Yeah.
it's true for me too. I was thinking about this yesterday, that there are certain things in the life, because we all hold on to terrible events in our life that shape us and make us question things. Are we good enough? Are we acceptable? Should we do this? And one or two things. And one of these things popped into my brain. The thought was that, why did they say what they said? They did it because they felt they wanted to entertain. They felt they wanted to do something. Just let it go. Do you think forgiveness is important?
I do think forgiveness is important. I think there is a level. I think you should always forgive in your own heart, but there is a certain level where you forgive a behavior, and like we were talking about earlier, you constantly think someone's going to change, and you think, oh, I'm going to let it go, I'm going to let it go. But that there's a thin line between having no boundaries and letting things go. So I think it's trying to like stay firm on your own boundaries and not holding on. I think it's so toxic within our bodies to hold on to things like you're saying. And I see a lot of women who struggle to honestly just go day by day because they are so consumed with the past and things that have happened, and it's become part of their identity. So they don't actually want to let go, and they don't want to forgive because they're so used to having it there as a story to say hide behind. So I think that is like something to really work on.
That is what's stopping them moving forwards, isn't it? It's an excuse and self-sabotage. I always say self-sabotage. It's my word of the year.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it more than ever now for some reason.
Yeah. No, I definitely think with forgiveness, though, it's hard. I think if you're somebody who is very empathetic, it's very easy to look at someone's behavior. I am guilty of doing this, and someone will treat you a certain way or say something, and I'm always trying to excuse that behavior. So I almost feel sorry for them for being a certain way to me. And that was something that I really had to work on to kind of not to be forgiving for my own benefit, but to also realize that that doesn't mean that I have to then try and fix that person or like see where they're coming from, or do you know what I mean? So it's like,
absolutely, yes.
I think it's like boundaries are just so important, and I think we should be taught them at school. I think we should be taught a lot more at school about this.
We should be taught a lot more things at school. We should be taught how to form relationships, how to interact,
absolutely.
how to connect with people, how to make friends. All these things should be taught at school.
Yeah,
respect.
100%.
Never mind learning Latin or learning.
No, I know.
advanced other things. Didn't need to do that. No. I think we need to learn and update this. And I always say that I want to go around schools and just help people and empower them.
Yeah.
Because if we imagine we went to school and we were taught how to do these things, work on self-confidence.
Yeah.
Work on self-love, self-care, and being nicer to each other.
Yeah.
What kind of world would be in now, wouldn't we?
I know, it would be incredible if we could all learn how to plan properly and actually try to work together and communicate properly. Even I was speaking about this with a client the other day, actually. When children argue and they're just separated, so they're in school and they're separated, and one's in detention and they're not taught how to communicate through that properly, so that they don't have to constantly repeat that as an adult of like either avoiding or shouting as a defense. They're not actually taught how to communicate.
They're not. You're absolutely right. It's not encouraged, is it? It's just get on with it, behave yourself, and just close it up and don't express your feelings.
Yeah.
Men are told that and boys are told that. Don't express your feelings. Don't show your feelings. Don't, even things like flirting. I talk about this a lot with my clients. Men don't flirt with each other. Women flirt with each other. Mm-hmm. Men just don't do it. It's uncomfortable. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. But really, all flirting is being playful, being open, being vulnerable. And that is pretty much what we need to be in our lives all the way through it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think they're probably key things of being an inner goddess or an inner god, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think as well, a lot of men tend to shy away from the feminine, and it scares them. And to a lot of men, it kind of intimidates them at the idea of, I don't know, stepping into their own inner goddess. But I think it's really important for us all to have a balance of both.
People don't realize that. They don't realize that men have got a feminine side to them as well, and it's not
No.
even if it might be a masculine side. It's not tied to man and woman, is it? It's not tied that way.
No, and I think it's really interesting to discuss masculine and feminine as an energy as well, rather than as a gender, especially nowadays, because we are just allowing people to be whoever they want to be, which is amazing. And so to look into masculine and feminine as an actual energy rather than you are this and you are that and you have to act like this, that would allow so many people to just honestly just be themselves and not feel the burnout or not feel like they're not doing enough. It would just allow us to connect better on a deeper level, especially sexually as well, because I think there just needs to be like a big balance. And for a lot of women that I work with, they either try to become the masculine within the relationship and they do and honestly they kind of mother their partner, but to the point where it actually becomes a masculine energy because the partner's not doing, and the goddess is not in her goddess element of allowing herself to receive. She's just doing, and I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll cook and I'll clean and I look after the kids. And well, what does he do? Because he needs to feel in his masculine as well, but it kind of messes up the balance of this feminine masculine energy.
If only we were all free and we all could do whatever we wanted to do and
I know.
vibrate at the right frequency, and then it wouldn't matter, would it?
No, it would be wonderful.
no fear of judgment. I think when you do vibrate at the right frequency, then you don't care. That is the ultimate self-love then, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you can learn to not care, this is another thing that I really, really try to help my clients with, and especially within the goddess circles. We always look at that of, well, what makes you not do whatever it is that you want to do, or why wouldn't you want to explore that part of your business, say?
Yeah.
Or even if they want to set up a new business, I want to start a candle company, but I'm embarrassed what people will say. Why does that matter? Why is that actually stopping you from doing what you feel a calling to do? It shouldn't get in the way at all. It's what makes you happy. That's what you should be doing.
That's very true. And also with dating as well, go for someone that makes you happy. It doesn't matter if they're an inch too small or they are a year too old. Go with them. They make you happy, and that's the right person.
Definitely.
Don't care what other people think. Make your own decisions and be true to that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, absolutely agree with you there. A couple of other sort of randomy questions here before we finish off, because we're going to come to the end already. And like some of my guests, I could talk to you for a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll do more of these in the future. But do you have any sort of daily regular rituals or meditations or anything that you do?
I do, yes. Every single morning, I like to meditate. I've actually got an Apple Watch now, which has made it a little bit easier for making sure that I do it. But you can click on the mindfulness. There's like a mindfulness app, and it times you. So I know I've got the time that I want. So I start with meditation, and then I will make myself a tea or a lemon water with rosemary that I'll get from my garden and ginger. And every time I make my tea, I like to set my intention for the day. Then from there, I will take my dogs out, do a bit of exercise, and I will always do breath work then before I shower and get ready for the day. And for me, like for instance, this morning, I actually ended up sleeping in longer than I wanted to. So I try to get up early, but if my body does not want to get up, say at 6 o'clock, then I allow myself that, because one thing I found was I was a lot like too far into my masculine where it was do. So in order for me to be in my feminine, I intuitively work with my body, but I always make sure I get my morning set, because that is really important for me. And I think the whole purpose of your life is to earn money, to look after you, and to look after yourself, and to eat the foods that look after your body. And if we're not prioritizing ourselves, then we're not truly living, and we're not truly benefiting ourselves.
Completely agree with you there. I asked this question because I need to create more rituals in my life and things that I do. And it's very, very difficult. I've got 2 young children.
Yeah.
So they wake up all hours of the night and have to get up really early to get ready for school and nursery. And it's hard to do that. But there are, of course, we've all got time to do things that we need to do. I could do these things after they've gone to school and nursery, and then set aside half an hour in my schedule to do things I need to do. I do lots of things. I do lots of reading and walking and running and things like that. So I do this, but I want to do more. And it's always useful to learn from other experts and coaches and what they do. And
it's hard though. I think I don't really like to push routines onto people, because I know a lot of people do struggle with it, and I think it can make people feel guilty. And that's something that I struggled with. It was when I was first trying to work out a routine, I was doing what I thought I should be doing because of what other books and other people had said that they were doing, and then you end up in an almost like, you start your day feeling guilty for not doing what you should be doing, and then you think you're not going to be as successful because you're not doing those things. So one thing I would say is, don't overcomplicate your routine. Just start with one small thing, even if it is 2 minutes of meditation in the morning. Even if it's just brain dumping and just writing everything down, even if it's writing your dreams down, a little bit of reading, one thing. And then once you've got that down every day, then just slowly add an extra element in. But don't overwhelm yourself, because I've done that. I'd be like, right, this is the hour I've got, and this is everything I'm getting done in that hour. And I mean, I've got a scatterbrain. So for me to do that, it was not achievable. So for me, I have to allow like plenty of time to get what I want done within my morning.
That makes perfect sense. I think I do a lot, but I could do with a bit more focus sometimes on certain things. And so there's an end goal and end result. But you're right, you've got to be gentle on yourself. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yes.
If you want to sit and watch Netflix, have a biscuit, I say go and do it.
Absolutely.
Because I would do that, as long as I'm working and busy the rest of the time.
It's so important.
Because you all know what it's like. When you work with people one-to-one, you're working with emotions, and therefore you need time on your own. Otherwise, you take them on, don't you? And they stick with you.
You do, yeah. And I think a lot of people don't take enough rest. And I think that one day of rest, if you decide I can't work today, I just can't, I don't have the energy, especially as a woman. I honestly think we should be having certain times of the month off completely, because there are certain times where you're so tired and you don't physically have the energy. And if you're trying to work through that, you'll get less done. But if you just allow yourself to sit down and you think you're going to have a sofa day, you'll probably take an hour off and think, okay, I feel better now. And then you get back on with your day. But the more you try and push through something and you're forcing, then the more tired you get and you're falling asleep at your desk. So I definitely think rest is so important, and to do what you feel you are able to do.
Absolutely. It's your life. Do things for you.
Yes.
And, as well as you can. If you in a relationship that makes you unhappy, leave it. And if you're in a job that you hate, get an easier one. Yeah. Just do something about it. Take some action. But it doesn't need to be today. Just take the first steps towards that. Yeah. That's what I would say. Get a coach to help. Definitely.
I think as well, if you're taking a day off, in 5 years' time, you're not going to think that day off I had ruined my life. I should never have. It's just a day off, and you'll forget about it. In a week, you'll get all the work done anyway. But you're just taking that moment off.
That's what I've learned during the pandemic, to schedule more time to do things that I want to do with my family and on my own.
That's really nice.
And to book in things, and when I'm in the zone and full energy, go for these things.
Definitely.
And help people. But I'm very lucky to do a job that I absolutely love and empower people, as do you. So it's a good thing to do. I wanted to ask as well. Now, I know that you wrote some on your bio on the website that you sometimes see spirits and things like that.
Yeah.
But that isn't the question. The question is, do you believe that we have guides to help us?
Yes. 1,000%. I think with anybody, you're always guided and you are always protected. But some people connect more than others through meditation and through different acts of service, if you like, as well. Some people actually work with their ancestors or with deities, which is like a god or goddess, through offerings. But every time I do a goddess circle, I will work with energy of the highest good only, but I will always call in like ancestors or guides or people who want to guide us through. And I honestly believe that if you can spend even 2 minutes a day meditating, and each day you start to work with your guides, and by this I mean having a mental conversation with your guides, it might feel like you're just imagining things to start with, but eventually when you call through your higher self or your guides or whoever it is you want, you'll start journaling down problems to your solutions, to your problems, and just like an inner wisdom and guidance. And for me, I remember the time that it showed up the most for me was when my nan passed away a few years ago. It was just one thing after another of blessings during a very difficult time, and I just knew that it was her. And I just think if you can look out for little synchronicities and stuff like that, it just helps you as well to realize you're very, very protected and guided.
I'm starting to realize that more and more in life.
Yeah.
This is why, and I'm thinking about that a lot. I think I'm a guide towards what I do in a different way.
Yeah.
But I think I'm always being looked after in that
yeah,
sense.
definitely.
I get that feeling, and I think I have a lot more to give people, and everyone does, really, don't they? And
yeah.
it's how we embrace that.
I was thinking of this earlier as well, of like the universe as a guide as well. So goddess, God, whoever, the universe. It's really interesting because if you had a manager now, if I had a manager as a singer or something, say, I would put all my faith and trust in that person, that they are doing everything in my power and in my best interest, say, and they are planning all the amazing events for me and they are sorting my life out essentially. But we never give that same faith and trust in the universe that all of the things that are happening are that. And that's something to consider, is that it's not just guides and those who've passed and they're like helping you, and like you're a lot of the time through your intuition as well. But it's just remembering as well that think of the universe as your manager. So your manager has your best interest at heart, and everything is playing out how it should to get you to this event and this event and this event. But you have to trust and you have to surrender, the same as you would if it was a physical person as a manager.
I love that. That's amazing. And also take action as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't just dream, you have to do something about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think a lot of people get in their own way from thinking, oh, it's not going to happen, so I'm going to have to do this instead. They ruin it for themselves, or they think, oh, I'm never going to do that. It's just not achievable for me. But it really is. You just have to have faith as if you would a real person, and just think of it as you are working with a real person. And if you think that you want, I mean, there's loads of times where we've thought we wanted something. I thought I wanted to be a recruitment consultant years ago and work in an office, and I can't, honestly, it's just not for me at all. But I kept thinking, why am I not getting the jobs and stuff? And when you look back at things that have not worked out for you, you start thinking, okay, that was definitely not in alignment for me anyway. So It's just trusting and moving with the flow of things. If they're not working how you want them to, just trusting that it is working for you.
Completely agree. But doing these things that we don't enjoy, that's how you find out you don't enjoy them.
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
to date lots of people to find out what you want and what you don't want.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're all bad experiences. It just means, don't want that anymore. I'm going to move on. It helps you learn.
Yeah, definitely.
Life's an adventure, and do all you can.
Yeah, definitely. It's the same with your, like we were saying about morning routine and stuff. You might do something, it doesn't work for you. And I think if you set yourself an intention for how you want to feel, say, for me, my desired feeling, let's say, is to feel the goddess energy. So I like to feel in my feminine power, because I have got that big, like, work energy within me. So I like to feel in my feminine, where I also take a moment to rest, allow things to happen for me, allow myself to receive, because a lot of it is in how you feel, but a lot of what we feel is from subconscious beliefs as well. So not allowing ourselves to receive and not feeling worthy of receiving, say. So a lot of the times we scare ourselves out of things just because we think that's what we want, or that's how we want to feel, when it's actually not.
It's not, but we have to try things to know this, to know
that's
that.
Right, yeah.
And I think now is a good time for anyone that's listening. If you want to make a change and you want to be the person you are destined to be, male or female, take some action now. Do something about it, because you're in control. Who knows what's coming next, the next hour, next week, next month? But all you can do is do your best, live it and embrace it and enjoy it. Cara, I really want to keep talking to you, but we have to wind down now, unfortunately, because I know you're really busy. So can you tell everyone, if they want to find out more about you, how do they do that?
You can head to Instagram at Cara's Crystal Coven. you can also head to YouTube at Cara's Crystal Coven. And then I also vlog my intentional living, which is under Cara Lorenzini. And the reason I did that was because I had a lot of people asking what I did in my day-to-day life or how I add a bit of magic into my everyday life. And so they're my vlogs.
Wow, I love that. I have to go and check that one out and see when I get a moment.
Yeah, I have got the website as well. If they did want to join Goddess Circles or anything, so if you want to join in with us, then go to carascrystalcoven.com.
Fantastic. Well, that is really, really good chat to you, and I really enjoyed that. I know we could keep talking, but I have to finish it. I sometimes have these chats, like twice today this has happened. I want to keep talking because it resonates so well. So thank you so much, Cara. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much.
And then we'll talk again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.